Consistently attract soulmate clients. Begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalyn Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize. Welcome, my loves. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am so excited to be sharing with you on those of you who are feeling called to become a best-selling author, to bring your book to become a bestseller. And before we do that, if you do enjoy this episode, you receive a lot of value in it, please do shout it out on social media. You can tag me on Instagram at Bold Sexy Warrior, and on Facebook it's Rosalyn Fung Coaching Bold Sexy Warrior. It would mean a lot to me to get this podcast out more. Of course, your reviews on Apple iTunes always supports the ratings as well. So thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Well, if you didn't notice on social media, this past weekend, I just turned 40. I am so excited about being 40. It is such a beautiful and powerful new decade. I love and embrace the process of aging, and really it is the life that you put into your years that counts, right? And so I celebrated big. And every year I have a tradition where I love to have a birthday special. And I love to promote a course that I have at a price of the age I turn. So this year I am offering my Elevate Your Wealth with Ease bundle. This is the Manifest More Money course my husband, my sexy silver fox Dan Haig, who is a certified financial planner and a registered retirement specialist consultant. Together we make up pleasure in the bedroom and bank. We hosted a workshop earlier this year, and now it's turned into a digital course. So we are offering that in this bundle. It's also, by the way, our 15th wedding anniversary on August 12th, so 2 days from this recording. And as well, I am bundling it up with my Manifest More Money and Sacred Sales meditation album. So I'm really excited because I refreshed this album as well with meditation activation music. And my meditations are specifically geared towards supporting you in being in the frequency of wealth, prosperity, and abundance, calling in money, receiving money, feeling safe around money. As well, I have a meditation specifically for you to listen to before you get on a sales call. So this bundle, you do not have to be an entrepreneur, okay? This is for everybody. This is for you to have a better understanding of what gets in your way of manifesting more money. We give you a clear path to having a sacred relationship with money so that you can confidently call more money in. Also, very important, we teach you how to communicate about money peacefully and intimately with yourself, and if you are in a romantic relationship, a committed relationship with your partner, okay? So many times we see, money breaks up people. Money causes lots of fights between partners, and we don't want that for you. So we have created ways to communicate about money peacefully. I mean, I think that in itself, hello, right? And the power of knowing your sacred money archetypes. The ability to understand your money archetype will support you in understanding why you go into money the way that you do, what serves and supports, what doesn't, right? And it's coming more from that sacred spiritual understanding. It brings in some psychology, the neuroscience of money as well. So my loves, regularly altogether this bundle would be $88, but because I just turned 40 this month of August, you get it for only $40. So you can check out the link for it in the show notes or go to rosalyn.mykajabi.com/August promo. The link is also in my bio on Instagram. Beautiful. Okay, my loves, now on to today's episode. Do you feel the call to write a book? What is the process to become a best-selling author? And how do you monetize on your book? Well, I have a very special guest and a friend with me, Kelly Filardo. Kelly is a burn survivor since the age of 2 on 75% of her body. She found a way to go from near death to success, from the ugly Scarface girl to the TEDx stage twice, Fierce Woman of the Year, a 7-time international best-selling author. Yes, I did say 7-time, recipient of the Queen Elizabeth Diamond Jubilee Medal, and YWCA Woman of Distinction. No big deal, right, you guys? A documentary about Kelly's life story called Still Beautiful launched on TV, plus Goldcast launched a video that has almost 10 million views. Now she is a full-time best-selling author strategist, coaching people to become best-selling authors. On Christmas Day, Global TV announced Kelly as one of the most inspirational people of 2020. And you guys, trust me, she lives up to this. And recently, she became an award-winning virtual speaker. So I have had the pleasure of getting to know Kelly in real life. We met at a networking event about 5 years ago, I believe, where we were both speakers. So welcome, Kelly.
Well, thank you. I am so excited to be here on your show, Rosalyn. Whenever I, connect with you, the energy that you have is just incredible. So I really want to thank you for having me on your show today.
Thank you, love. I'm really excited to be jamming about this topic because I know that more people need to get their stories out there. But of course, a lot of us are really shy to put that out there. So I can't wait for us to activate others to believing in themselves and seeing the possibilities of becoming best-selling authors. But first, I always like to ask my guest, what is your story? And how did you get to be who you are and do what you do today?
Cool. Well, that's a big loaded question.
I know. Because your story is, you have so many stories and they're all so powerful.
I know. And that's the hardest part for me, is to figure out which story to tell first. So yeah, I got burnt as a 2-year-old. We lived on a farm, and my cousins were throwing shingles outside, or throwing shingles into the fire, and I was 2, and I walked past the fire, and basically a spark landed on my dress, and I exploded into flames. And so I spent 4 months in the hospital. Every 2 days I'd be in the operating room because they needed to do surgery on me. And then every 2 years until I was 20, I would spend a month of my summer holidays in the hospital. And so, that was my journey of, getting burnt as a 2-year-old. I never ever thought I'd ever get married or have kids because I just thought, I was the ugly Scarface girl, right? I remember walking past my teacher's desk when I was in grade 5, and I saw a picture that someone had drawn of me, and it was a circle, and it had scribbles all over it, and it said Scarface. And I was devastated because I knew that my doctor was trying to do everything he could to take my scars away, but they weren't going away. And then I remember when I was about 16 years old, and I went to bed and I prayed to God and I said, "Dear God, please don't make me wake up in the morning. But if I have to, can I at least be scarless so I can be pretty like all the other girls?" And of course, I woke up and looked in the mirror and the scars were still there. And I thought, well, great. My doctor's not taking my scars away. God's not taking my scars away. I'm going to be the ugly girl forever. And so that was the start of my journey into, feeling like I would be the ugly girl forever. So I never thought I'd ever get married. I never thought I'd have kids. I never thought that I would have a successful life. I always thought that I was going to have that doom and gloom type of life. But I never gave up. And that's one thing that I remember doing when I was a kid is, I would play in dreamland. Just like you, Rosalyn, where you're always just kind of dreaming about what your life could be like. That's what I would do. I would go and sit under the trees and I would just fantasize about what I wanted my life to be like. And eventually I did end up getting married. We're now divorced, and after 24 years of being together. But again, I never thought I'd have kids. And it wasn't until I met another burn survivor and I said to her, well, I don't think I can have kids. And she's like, well, what do you mean? I have 2 kids and she has 2 kids and she has 2 kids. Why don't you think you can have kids? I said, I don't know. I just didn't know that burn survivors would have kids. And I just thought because of my scars, the way they are, because like my whole chest is covered in scars and I'm missing a nipple and, my back, my arms, my face, and then a little bit on my legs. So I never thought I'd ever have kids. And I still remember when I had my daughter, and I was so excited to have a daughter first because I wanted to know what I would look like without scars. And yeah, it was just, I was so happy to have a daughter first. And I was like, maybe I'll know what I look like without scars. And then I got pregnant a second time. And this time I had a stillborn baby. And I was devastated because my husband didn't want another child. And I remember being 5 months pregnant and I looked down at my belly and I said to myself, it's okay if you don't make it because he doesn't want you. And sure enough, 2 months later, she had died inside of me and I had to deliver her. And I, of course, was devastated because I thought, this is my fault, right? She's in me. Mm-hmm. So it had to be my fault that she died. And I was so happy when the doctor wanted to do an autopsy because then we figured out what happened and basically her umbilical cord grew shut instead of growing open. And so there was no way of knowing that it was happening and there was no way of preventing it or anything like that. But I always thought, why did this happen? Why did this happen to me? Like, why did I get burnt? Why did I lose a baby? What is it, right? Like, why? And then I got pregnant again for the 3rd time. And this time I ended up with twin boys. And I knew that I wasn't going to lose those twins because I knew that my baby girl passing away was a gift. I knew that she was meant to be in heaven with my dad and my grandparents and she was meant to be there so that I could bring those twin boys into the world. Because I know we would have stopped at the 2 girls if we would have had her. And so it was really amazing to see that there's a gift in my story, right? Like me getting burnt as a 2-year-old, like that is tragic. Like when you think, a little 2-year-old getting burnt on 68 at, 75% of her body, like why? Why did she live? But when you see all the stuff that I've done, that is the gift and everything that I've done in my life. It wasn't like I honestly believe that the reason we have to go through these challenges in life is so that we can teach other people, so that we can teach them how to get through our challenges in life, that we can teach them how to, have an amazing life.
Yes,
and
we
so
can show them what's possible.
Pardon me?
We can show them what's possible.
Exactly.
despite the trauma. Yeah. Thank you, Kelly. I just want to let you know I'm just sitting here soaking in your story, and there's tears streaming down my face. Yeah, I'm really moved by your story, and I know your story, but every time I hear it, I'm still so deeply moved. So please
Aw.
continue.
Yeah. So, I realized that, there's a gift. There's a gift in every tragedy. And we have a choice of whether we can do something with it or hold ourselves back. I mean, I know tons of burn survivors out there that just see getting burnt as being horrible. But is it really horrible when that burn survivor is out at schools and teaching kids about how to love themselves? Like, I'll never forget when Global TV came out to one of our speeches that me and Spencer Beach did. And we spoke at a school. And so they filmed it, and then they showed a portion of it on TV. And I was talking about the Scarface, the picture that I saw. And right after that clip, they showed this little 9-year-old girl saying, "I'm so glad I got to hear Kelly speak. I now know how to feel beautiful about myself."
Wow.
And I was like, I didn't care. Like, I mean, it was wonderful that I got, Inspirational Person of the Year. But when I went back and I heard her message, I now know how to feel beautiful about myself. That was like, oh my gosh, that was like the most powerful thing that I could have ever heard, because it was like, that's why I got burnt. I got burnt so that I can take my story and I can go and teach other people how to love who they are, and how you don't have to be flawless in order to be beautiful. Right?
Amen,
We
sister.
get so many messages.
Yes.
We get all these messages in our world that are saying we have to be perfect, we have to be super women, we have to be flawless, and we have to have the perfect hair and the perfect house and the perfect car and the perfect makeup. And, sometimes the universe, or the media sets us up to be failures.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed,
and that's why they
1,000%.
need people like you and I who are out in this world saying, look, no, your life doesn't have to be a tragedy. Your life can be amazing. And this is why we're doing what we're doing, is so we can teach you how to have that amazing soulgasmic life. Right?
Yes, Kelly, exactly. And for me, it's just what I'm really hearing as I'm just soaking in your story is just how incredibly powerful it has been of a journey for you to really look at the spiritual accountability side of why something has happened. And I want to say for you, because when we say something's happening to me, we're victim to the circumstances. But when we really get to see, okay, so this is the trauma that's happened. How is this working for me? What is the greater purpose here? And when we allow ourselves to move into this personal and spiritual accountability place, to see things from a heart and a soul level, to understand how we co-create with spirit, that we are all souls having a human being experience, everything gets the shift. And Kelly, you are a profound example of that in this world. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I totally agree with you with all of that. Right? Like that's why we're here. We're
1,000%.
people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to move into commercial. And when we come back, we're going to shift gears a bit and move right into how to become a best-selling author and the power of your story.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
My loves, you know you're here as a soul-led leader to transform this world through the sharing of your passions and gifts. You are here to be in your warrior of light and align your business with your highest self. I'm Rosalyn Fung of the show Activate Your Soulgasmic Business. Let's elevate your business to the next expansive level. I invite you to flow into a business soul alignment discovery call with me at rosalynfung.com. That's ROSALYN, fun as in have some fun, FUNG, and let's see how I can best hold space for you to align your highest self, magnetize your dream clients, and monetize on your soul mission. I can't wait to connect.
COVID-19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
Do you feel like your emotions are all over the place? That's normal during this abnormal time. There are a number of ways to cope. Maintain a healthy routine, get enough sleep, eat nutritious food, and exercise at least 30 minutes each day. Schedule some time to talk with a friend or family member. And remember, you can always take a few deep breaths to feel more centered.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
All right, welcome back, loves. So we are going to go right into Kelly's next part of her story. Well, you know what? I'm going to say if you are wanting to tune in more to Kelly's story in depth, please check her out on her TEDx Talks, her Still Beautiful documentary, where can we find that, Kelly?
Well, on YouTube, definitely they can search for me that way. They can also go to my website, kellyfilardo.com, and they can find my stuff there too.
Okay, so, awesome. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, because your documentary is very powerful, and I feel really, really called for people to go and tune into that. So, but we're going to go to just shift gears here and share, how did you become a best-selling author strategist? Tell us the story there.
Well, it's been interesting because, I never wanted to be a coach. And I still remember about 5 or 6 years ago, one of my best friends was like, Kelly, you're a coach. You're a coach. I'm like, no, I'm not a coach. And she's like, no, you need to. Like, you do know it. And what was happening is that, my friends would come to me and they'd say, well, Kel, I want to be a best-selling author. How do I do it? And so I would teach them what I was doing, and they were becoming best-selling authors. And so then I decided, okay, well, actually, it was Corey Poirier that gave me the title of the best-selling author strategist, because with his book, we've done 4 Blue Talk books now, and every single one of them have made the bestseller list the day before we even do the launch. And so that has been really super cool, because that's one of my strategies is I have an algorithm that I use and it works, and it gets people to the list most times, even the day before I do the launch for them. So
amazing. Actually, I'm just going to pause here in case people don't know who Corey Poirier is. I want to give him a shout out because he's an amazing friend to both of us. He's a mentor. He is a multi-time TEDx speaker and coach himself. And he is the founder of Blue Talks, which stands for Business, Life, and Universe. Think TED Talks with a foundation of spirituality, or other people see it as TED Talks integrated with Chicken Soup for the Soul. So we both have been Blue Talk speakers as well. And yeah, Corey has been on my podcast a couple times, so you guys can look for that Corey Poirier episodes. He's brilliant as well. So just wanted to give him a shout out because we both love and adore him, and Kelly works very closely with him as well.
Yeah, and he's the reason that I landed 2 TEDx talks in 1 year, because I
there we go. That's right.
That's
and
right.
You're the reason why Blue Talks books, co-authored books, have been bestsellers, each and every one of them so far. And I know it's just going to keep going. So please tell us more. We are listening. I'm so proud to be part of these books as well.
I know, it's so awesome. In fact, I think you and I are both in the same one.
Yes.
Actually, I think you're still in the same version.
So good. We're in the first one together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So to be a best-selling author, basically what you need to do is get into the top 100 of your category on Amazon. And so that is basically what it is. It's not based on numbers of sales. Like, a lot of times people think, oh, I have to sell 5,000 books in order to be a best-selling author. And you don't. And that's what makes it so beautiful, is that you don't have to sell 10,000 books. That's what I thought. Like, one of my coaches, actually, it was a mentor of mine. She said, Cal, now that you're a speaker, you need to be an author. And I said, well, I don't know how to write a book. And she's like, well, you need to write a book. And there's 3 reasons. One is because if you're a speaker and people ask you to speak for free, then you've got a product to sell. The second reason is it makes you look more like an expert. So if you're a coach, a trainer, speaker, any of that, you will be elevated into a whole new level once you become an author, and an even bigger level when you become a best-selling author. It is like amazing how we place so much emphasis on those types of credibility pieces. And the thing is, if someone's trying to decide between whether they want to hire you or that doesn't have a book, or someone who is a 7-time best-selling author like me, they're going to hire me because I have that expert credibility. And so that's another reason that you want to do it. And then the third reason that you want to do it is probably yours and my favorite, Rosalyn, is that when people hear you speak, they want to learn more about you. Mm-hmm. And so this way, they get to take that little piece of you home with them, and they get to learn even more about your story. Because I know, Rosalyn, you're like me. Like, when sometimes we do like an hour presentation, we're like, but that's not long enough. I want to tell you the story.
Right. Yes.
And so, and sometimes, like nowadays, it's sometimes we only speak for 20 or 30 minutes, and we can't always tell our whole story. And so this way, when you have it in a book, they're able to take it home with them and read more about you. And then they can decide if they want to work with you more. And so that's why it's such an incredible thing to become a best-selling author.
Yes, and I believe it also works the other way, where just such as in the Blue Talks co-author book, somebody who doesn't know we exist yet has the copy of a book because they might have supported one of the authors in there, and they are reading about it. And I've had this happen where people reach out because they've read my story, and they start to follow me on social media. And that's how, again, with content marketing, which is what I love to coach and jam on, is building that like, know, and trust factor. So there's all these beautiful ways in getting our message out there and really building our tribe and converting people into beautiful soulmate clients.
Oh, absolutely. And especially doing like a collaborative book like the Blue Talks book, a lot of people think they don't have enough content to write a whole book. So get into like a collaborative book where you're with like 20 or 30 or 40 other authors, and then you only have to write 1 chapter. And
That's
then
right.
That way, then you have all of you promoting the book, helping to get more sales, and helping to get the pre-orders so that you can get onto that bestseller list.
1000%. Yes. And I will say I'm a two-time best-selling author, and both books are co-authored books. And I have loved my experience. It's just so beautiful to co-create and collaborate. And the process of having a company, a coach support the whole process makes it so flawless. Like I love it. It is such a beautiful experience.
It is. It absolutely is. And it's so cool when you get to actually hold the book and know that, you know
Yes.
what, I did it. I
Yes.
did it.
And my favorite
And
is when my favorite is signing the books for people when they come and line up after you talk and you drive them to the booth. This is obviously before COVID. And you have lineups of people wanting to buy your book and signing it. I find it so fun, and you can personalize a message, meet the people who actually want to read more about your story. It's just so powerful.
it is. It is. And that's the cool thing about being an author, is that we are all creating our legacies so that we can
Yes.
pass them on down to the different generations. And so that's one of the things that I love about it, is that, I used to be a scrapbooker, and I haven't been doing that since I became a speaker. But I still feel like I'm creating a legacy for my children because I am writing my stories. And the cool thing is, you never know when your story is going to help somebody. And that's
Yes.
why we need to do this. I'll never forget one of my kids' teachers. Um, one of his friends gave him my first book, No Risk, No Reward. And so he read it, and he's a grade 4 teacher. And he said, you know what, I need to get this girl to come and speak to my kids. And sure enough, I walked past his classroom, and he came running out, and he's like, Kelly? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, oh my gosh, I was just given your book yesterday. And I was just telling myself how we needed you to come and speak to my classroom. What are you doing here? And I said, well, my kids go to this school. And he's like, oh my God, I had no idea that your kids go to this school. And it was, he was just completely shocked, because he had just got my book the day before. And here I was right in his school. And so sure enough, he had me come and speak to his grade 7 and 8 kids about self-esteem and, bullying and self-love and all of that. And that is the power of our story. Like, that is why we have to go through some of the things that we go through, so that we can take our lessons and we can share them with other people, so we can teach them how they can, get through their life.
Yes, and writing your story, writing a book is so deeply healing for the author themselves. I hear that all the time. It's just like when you go through your story, you see how incredibly amazing you are and how incredibly resilient you are. You're writing it from the perspective of your truth. And that in itself is healing to vocalize your story. Kelly, I want us to speak into those who are tuning in right now and feeling like, and I'm sure you hear this too, feeling like, well, who's going to care about reading my story? And that sense of like, my story's not that special or that important. Nobody's going to really care. That sense of, I'm not good enough, or my story's not good enough. It's not that exciting. Can we speak a little bit more to those people?
Oh my God, I get that all the time. When people want to coach with me, that's one of the number one things that they say to me is, who's going to listen to me? Like, they don't get it. They don't see the power in their story. But here's the thing, we don't know who we're going to touch. It's just like, Rosalyn, when you've been on stage, and then all of a sudden, when you finish speaking, then people come up to you and they're like, oh my gosh, like, I totally resonate with you. And that's the same thing with a book. If we aren't always going to know who we're going to touch. We don't always know how we're going to impact people. But we still need to write those stories, because that's our life. This is why we're having this journey, is because we need to share with other people. And we just never know. And that's okay. But we are all good enough to write a book. That's why we have editors. Editors make us sound great.
That's right. It is always awesome to have coaches and editors to support us. You know, even me, which I'm sure some people would be shocked to even hear me say this because I love speaking about my story now. But I would even say a few years back, when I first started speaking, I would be so, I know again, people, I hope you're sitting down. I was actually shy to share my story as a speaker. I would literally have those thoughts like, oh, my story's not that big of a deal. Like, I don't want to seem conceited. I don't want to seem like I'm bragging. And I would just like kind of rush through my story. And that minimizes the power of my story. And so what I would do to get over that fear is to put myself in the audience's shoes and look at, when I'm listening to speakers, what do I find most valuable? And it's always their story. I'm always thinking, well, I want to know their story. Yeah, they're teaching me strategies, blah, 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 blah. But like, I want to know about their personal journey. Like, I want to know what struggles and challenges they face to get to where they are now, which is one of my favorite questions, as people know, because that's the first one I start with. But it's like, okay, once I gave myself that confirmation, like that's what I value, and so my people would really value that too. Like the audience values stories. And what's that saying? That facts tell, stories sell. And it's true. We are speaking to the heart of people. And I think that there's nothing more rewarding than when people come up. Like you said, Kelly, we have no idea who we impact. And, you know, sometimes I think we'll never meet a lot of these people who we impact. And that's okay. And it's amazing when you do come across people who come up to you eventually or connects with you personally and say, you know, I saw you on stage, or I read your book a year ago or 2 years ago, and it still moves me. And it was the thing that catalyzed me to, and I'm speaking a truth here, somebody who's a good friend of mine now saw me speak, never knew me. And then next day she quit her job and started a full-time business. I met her because, this is Susanna Sugaldo, I met her because I went to go see her as a client, and she was like telling me her story. I had no idea. And how full circle is that, right? When we really show up and share our story, whether it's written, verbal, or both.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I have a story like that too. And, you know, basically what people want is they want your authenticity. They just want you to tell them a story. They don't want you to preach to them. They want you to tell a story. And I'll never forget, I was speaking at an event in Calgary, and I was telling the story about how I had the world's worst performance review. And so my boss said to me, Kel, are you going to be excited to come to work on Monday, or are you going to be relieved if you don't have to? And I was like, oh my gosh, that question hit me right to my core. And so I was telling everybody about that story. And then this one lady came up to me about, I don't know, she came up to me after the speech, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm in that situation. Same type of thing as with you. She quit her job and went and did her business full time. And she said, Kelly, you saved my life.
Oh, like my heart and my soul are like, oh, you know, it's so powerful. So I hope that as you're tuning in and you've been doubting yourself and the power of your story, I hope that this conversation that Kelly and I are sharing right now will activate you, catalyze you to believe in yourself and go out there, connect with Kelly, connect with her, because she's going to be so supportive in your journey to share your story and put it out there in the world. So my loves, we're going to go move back into commercial, and then when we come back, we're going to get a little bit more practical with ways to really put yourself out there.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
If I could be you,
and you could be me,
for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Okay, welcome back, welcome back. Kelly, I would love for you to share with our audience what are the top 3 things aspiring authors, or maybe they're already authors, but what are 3 things to consider when starting to write your story, your book, whatever it may be?
Okay, well, one of the first things they need to consider is why. Why do you want to write it? Mm-hmm. Do you want to write it because you want to be a best-selling author? Do you want to write a book because you want to create a legacy? Do you want to write a book so that you can get expert credibility? Like, what is your why? Maybe you just want to write a children's book because you've got a great story. So you need to figure out what is your why. Because if you don't know why you want to write a book, you don't even know where to start.
That is so true. So getting clear about your why, your purpose, your intentions of writing this book. What's the second one?
The second one is what type of book you want to write. So do you want to write a children's book? Do you want to write a romance novel? Do you want to write a how-to book? Do you want to write a memoir or an autobiography or a science fiction book? Like, what kind of book do you want to write? So when we were doing our teenager book, like it was a compilation book. So we knew we wanted to write a teenager compilation book. And so what we did is we made sure that all the other authors that were in the book wrote something that was towards teenagers, right? So you need to figure out what kind of book you want to write. Because if you don't know, like you can't write a teenager book for adults, right? You have to know what kind of book you want to write. That's right. So then also knowing who your audience is. I don't know if that was a third point, so but I'm just going to tag that on. Who is it that you want to write to? And then what's the third? Well, and the third thing is that a lot of people think it's too hard to write a book. And so one of the things that we like to do is coach them on the easiest ways to get their book started. And so what I suggest is to imagine that you have your ideal reader sitting in front of you. What are 10 things that you'd want to tell them? Okay, so I was writing about, burn survivors, and I was imagining a burn survivor sitting in front of me. What are 10 things I'd want to tell them? So that when they go through, being like surgeries and being teased and bullied, what are 10 strategies that they could, live with, right? So what you want to do is take those 10 things and those become your chapter titles. And then you write like bullet points about that. And then from there, you expand on that. Now, a lot of times people don't want to write because they don't think they can, and or they don't know how to type or whatever. So I always suggest people to record their book. So you can use otter.ai and just ask yourself the question out loud and just start talking. And then Otter will type it all for you. Or what I did too, one of the easiest ways to write a book is when I did my dating book, all I did is I took a Facebook Live video that I had done for 20 minutes and I paid somebody to transcribe it for me. I think I paid them like $20. And then I paid somebody to do a cover for me for $20. And then I formatted it like a book and I uploaded it to Amazon, and then it became a best-selling book. And that's how easy it can be. But a lot of times people think that writing a book is going to take forever, and then it's going to take years and years, and they have to write forever and ever. And that's one of the beautiful things about working with me, is that I teach you the easiest strategies so that you can get it done.
Okay, I'm seriously like floored. That's how you wrote your dating book. I actually did not know that. What? You're telling me I can take all my Facebook Lives, have somebody transcribe them, upload it. Okay, that is gold right there. Is anyone else that's listening shocked as well? Like, wow, Kelly. And I know that, you know, when we're in our own shit, we can't see the forest from the trees. And I know that for myself. This is why I love having my own coaches, and this is why I love having coaching clients with this, because we all need that support to be able to tweak out what are, for example, what you said, the top like 10 things. We all in our heads have probably 1,000 things we want to share. It's like, yeah, but like, how do you categorize just to 10 things? So this is where Kelly can come in and support you and be like, whoa, you know, like I love pulling out the top 10 things for my clients for, you know, obviously not the book, but perhaps their story or their purpose and their messaging. And that's really important as part of writing a book as well. So Kelly, that's lady, that makes it sound so easy. Let me just say.
And it is. And it's because I know you have so much content because of, you know, the workshops and stuff that you're teaching. So you can take all of those recordings and, you know, get them transcribed and then format it as a book. And there's your book. Like, you could literally have a book done in a weekend, Rosalyn. I know.
Is anyone else's brain, like, blown right now? Kelly, like, literally, my brain is, like, blowing up right now.
Well, we have to get you with your own book and make you a bestseller author. That's what we need.
That is one of the plans. That is one of the goals of my love.
Good. We're
Seriously.
I'm going to hold you to it, girlfriend.
You know, and that honestly, like, especially with the contents that I do put out there, I know, and this is probably the type of book that we could also put out, is a quotable book, right? I even said to one of my friends who is my meditation teacher, Carolyn Stewart, I'm like, girl, when are you writing a coffee table book with all your content marketing? Like, she's like, oh, I never thought about that, because her content is such gold. And I'm like, people need to be holding this in their hands. It's all about self-love and coming home to yourself. And I'm all about that. So I'm just like, oh, and the way she shares. So, you know, I hope that as you are tuning in, that you can see the possibilities, and that this, if you're like me, your mind might be really blown right now. It's like, wait a minute. I can just literally get somebody to transcribe a Facebook Live that I did and turn it into a book. Like, is anyone else still shocked about this? I am.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That is
that's
incredible.
That's as easy as it can be, but most people think it has to be hard. And I mean, probably same in your business, Rosalyn, where, you know, people, you know, are trying to manifest things in their life, and they think, oh my God, it's so hard. And yet you think it's so damn easy. It's like, why can't everybody do this? Because it's easy, right?
And that's why we're here, because we want to show people it doesn't have to be hard. Even like money, building wealth, calling in money, asking for money doesn't have to be hard, but we got our own shit in our heads that keep us held back. So the thing though is, we don't know what we don't know. And the truth is, you know, it is important to hire someone like yourself, Kelly, because you know and you understand what it takes to not only read book, but specifically get the message out there clearly in the book, and then like to actually understand the algorithms, the process to get a book to become a bestseller. Like that, most people wouldn't know. So that's, I think, a huge part of why people would hire you, is to understand that process and work with you to get their story out there and then put it out as a bestseller. So thank you so much for who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And you know, when people come to me, some people come to me because they don't have they just know they want to write a book. They just don't know how. And then other people come to me with a book already done, and they're like, okay, how can I make this a bestseller? And so I help people at all stages because it's easy. You just have to follow the system.
That's right. That's right. You just have to follow the system. And I am sure that, Kelly, you have way more golden nuggets on your links on YouTube, Goldcast, your talk. And so I'm going to drop those. And I know you have a freebie as well.
I do.
Can you share a little bit about your freebie?
You bet. So I have a free blueprint that teaches people how to publish a book in 7 easy steps. And they can also book a free 30-minute breakthrough call with me. So
Perfect.
They can go to 7stepsauthor.com, and that's where they can access that. And of course, make sure you mention Rosalyn's name, because I want to make sure she gets credit for this. And
thank you, my love. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that.
Beautiful. So you guys can check that out in the show notes as well. And we're going to move into our meditation for our closing, as always. And what I feel called to lead us into is just really supporting you in embodying the powerful messages and story you have inside you. You already have inside you. So I invite you to start to bring your attention inward. You can have a soft gaze or close your eyes and just follow your breath in. I want you to tune into the story that you feel most called to share right now. Could be a moment that has changed the trajectory of your life. Could be a positive or negative experience. So taking a moment to tune in, how old were you? What was happening? At that time, it might have felt like it was happening to you, depending on the story. Your purpose comes from your pain, often. That thing you never want to have happen to you or anyone else again. So you're here to share the lessons. New perspective. Share your resiliency to be the change you want to see. Your story matters. Breathe that in. Your story allows others to know that they are not alone, that you too have gone through something that they may be going through right now, and somebody out there needs to hear it. Your story moves and touches people in ways that you may never know. This is the soul work. It's our birthright to show up and share our stories. Breathing in. Marakira kuratia nira kuratia. Feel into the power of you. Marakira kuratia nakira kuratia. Feel into the power of your story and feel into the ripple effects and the possibilities of changing and impacting others' lives. Feel into building your legacy, expanding on it. Your story lives on forever, even when you leave this earth. Passes down the generations. Breathing in. Breathing out anything that doesn't serve or support. Breathing in your own powerful vibes. And breathing out these beautiful, powerful vibes into the world. Energetically setting the intention that your story already has touched others' lives. And so it is. And hanging out the sensations. You might notice tingling, lightness. Maybe you feel solid in your core. You might notice some fluttering behind your eyes or emotions coming through. Whatever is arising is perfect. Feel into the call. You matter, and your story matters, my loves. Thank you so much, Kelly, for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh my goodness. Are there any last words you'd like to share with the audience?
You bet. I would love for the audience to learn about a quote that I actually created this quote, and it came to me probably about 10 years ago. And it's, dreams are meant to be found, not tucked away in dreamland.
Breathing that in, loves.
Yeah.
Thank you, love. And don't forget to go to the show notes. Connects with Kelly. Love you all. Thank you, Kelly. Love you.
You're welcome. Love you too. Have a great day.